Hi, it's the 22nd of October 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Today's background video was suggested by Mr. Bojack. I was going to use DB Cooper's suggestion, but I thought Mr. Bojack's suggestion went better with today's subject material. I was watching a vid last night on Antifa in Portland, I think it was, and I thought, when I watched it, I thought, it's a guy, this is about a guy, okay, but I thought it illustrates my point perfectly. Our problem is not with women, it's with narcissism. I'll put a link to the vid in the description. Take a look at it, and when you do, ask yourself two questions. First one is this guy mentally ill? I look at him and I think he's a wacko, okay? I think he is in the same level of mental instability as an alcoholic. But that's how I see narcissism. I see it in the same light as alcoholism. I reckon if you look at this guy, I just don't think he can control himself. I think he's somehow got himself started and he can't stop. And the things he says are just cruel. Absolutely cruel and nasty. Same things as the same way an alcoholic is cruel and nasty. Okay, they have no feeling. You know, they're drunk, or there's no empathy there. And I'm convinced it links to alcoholism in some ways. Probably, the adult children of alcoholics, perhaps. I don't know. But I've always felt that, and I still feel it. And nobody's said anything to me, to convince me otherwise. The other question I'd ask you is, how did it affect you? Now, it clearly got to the Proud Boys that were on the other side of the street. The guy really triggered them. Okay, totally understandable. His behaviour was reprehensible. Okay, his whole attitude stank. All right, there's no doubt about it. They had every right to do it. I kind of wish they hadn't, because they're feeding right into the press. The press's game plan. That's why the press want them to react. They get some footage of them looking like, chasing this, this smaller sort of person down the road. Perfect. Nazis, eh? Bad boys. And that, I think, illustrates kind of why we have to try to deal with this. Because it's going to be used against us again and again. And it's only just starting. See, the thing is, if you weren't angered, as I wasn't, and if you're able to sit there and look at it and think, look, I don't agree with this guy's behaviour at all. He's sick. He's got a problem, but I can see what it is. And he's trying to trigger the woman, her sons, or any men around the place. He's trying to trigger them. Hopefully to be violent with him, so that the press can zoom in on him. Oh, poor boy. But if you can handle that, and you can see all of that, and you think that's a possibility, then you're getting there. And I know it doesn't seem right, and it's not right, that you have to, if they're the ones with the problem, surely they're the ones that have to go and get fixed. Why should you have to deal with them? Why should you have to modify your behaviour? Why should you have to change? I mean, do you have to change around an alcoholic? Well, in a sense you do, don't you? Because once you realise it is an alcoholic, you just sort of ignore them. Is that a fair comment? I'm not suggesting you have to do much more than that in this case. It's just actually don't let them get to you. If an alcoholic says something to you nasty to you, it really shouldn't bother you, because they're an alcoholic. I mean, it does, and it gets to us, but unfortunately, because they can't just give them a pill or an operation and fix them, I suppose we have to put up with it. And I think really, as an afterthought, this is probably why we're all here on a mgtow channel. Because we can't be with them. We don't know how to deal with them. I'm only just learning how to deal with them. I lived with one for 30 years. I've been 5 years away from it, and I've looked into it a lot. I am only just starting to learn to deal with it. I'm non-narc. For the most part, the only people who can deal with an narc are narcs themselves. And so they don't have any trouble because they can relate. And this is why we also have to think about changing. See, I learned that from my wife. You know, when I first met her, you know, I had a few run-ins with her mother. Which particularly, you know, she could be very nasty, very cruel. And my wife said, no, just don't talk to her. I said, what do you mean, don't talk to her? You know, because I talk to people. No, just don't talk to her. Well, I didn't know how to handle it. But honestly, it really struck me as odd. She's probably looking back on it, she had the right idea, but I still believe it's weird, okay? You know, I normally just talk to people, or I used to. I also noticed with her father was a narc. But, you know, if they tried to jab in with their boys, he just brush it away. Didn't bother him. No, go away. And they knew they were put in their place, they were put down. And this is, I think, what they're talking about, you know, when they like to be, you know, the bad boy, you know, they jab the bad boy and the bad, go away. I think that's what they're talking about. And I think it also explains, you know, all these revisions we've done over the years, we've changed this, changed that, now they don't like us, they want us to go back to how we were. Yeah, because we didn't realise we were being jabbed by a narc. Okay, so, but that's the thing, and yeah, but narcs will also, yeah, they can understand one another. They'll also defend one another. So if you say one, you know, someone says something to you that's obviously wrong, something doesn't matter, because all the other narcs will defend them. Narcs together, it's a union. So the whole thing is like, you might not have a relationship with a woman. You might decide, I'm never ever going to live with one again, or anything like that. But you know, at work, or you know, you just could be shopping, could be anywhere. And you know, one decides she's having a bad day, something gives you a quick jab. Okay. Now, if you can get to the point where you can just brush it off and not let it bother you, well then, you're not going to have a problem. But you know, if she has a jab at you and that sort of thing, and you react, I mean, suddenly, you know, like you could be on the bus on the way home, suddenly you got 10 narcs on you. And you know, if you're lucky, you won't spend the night in jail. I mean, that's how it is. There are that many of them out there now, that many sick people out there, and I call them sick people. Because, you know, they're like alcoholics, they've got a problem. You know, it doesn't mean to say that that's not a disparaging term, that they've got an illness. That's the way I see it. And they're everywhere. So in a sense, you know, what I would suggest, you know, if you can get to where it just doesn't bother you, and just look at it objectively, and it doesn't bother you. I've only just gotten there recently myself. You know, in the last month or so, as a matter of fact. I'm at the point, I wouldn't say I'm there altogether, I'm at the point where I'm no longer angered by it. Like I don't get anger attacks, you know, when I see stuff like that, or when people say things to me in comments, or if I go into a chat room or something and some narc hits, or, yeah, it doesn't, I basically ignore them these days. Which probably explains where all the ignorance of Southern Europeans comes from. Yeah, they were always well known for being ignorant. Yeah, they're ignoring the narcissism. And that's just something that, a way of doing it. So I don't know, maybe that's, you know, we see ignorance as being rude and whatever, they see it as being acceptable, otherwise you just go mad. So yeah, maybe we've just got to learn to be ignorant of one another, because it could be a way to do it. That's the way I'm looking at it. I don't like it. But that's really the only way to protect it, you know, and that's what we have to accept, you know, we just become ignorant. I guess, I don't know of any other, of what, there's nothing you can say I do. And let's face it, that's how Southern Europeans handle it. They just ignore one another. But it's the other thing I've gotten rid of the anger, but the other problem is depression. Actually, an attack. You'll feel, after you're attacked, I do anyway, I feel down the following day. It gets to you. I don't have the anger, But it's this feeling of, it must be like a poison or something, you know. I get it, and it's depressing. It passes, you know, in time, but it does. It brings you down. That's just what I've noticed with it. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I don't think any of this is right, but I just don't know what else to do. And I would suggest that the idea is to actually learn to deal with it, and do it by probably ignorance, I guess. I never thought I'd ever get to saying that. Just amazing, isn't it? Amazing world. Anyway, it's been good talking to you, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.